All right, so this is 7th grade 3-1. This is on page 143, analyzing percents of numbers. So I'm looking at example 1 here. I think most of you should know if I gave you a percent of a number, most of you can convert those pretty easily. If I had a number, let's say it was 50, and I wanted to know what 50% of that number is, most of you would know you could just cut it in half, and that would be 25. But if you actually had to multiply it, who could tell me how you would do that to sort of a proof how to do that? Mr. Scott, what do you think?
Just try to find like what's like 2 times 25 and stuff.
Right, you can mentally think about it. Well, it's going to be half of 50, and you could think about what that would be, and what times 2 would be 50, and it would be 25. But if I actually had you write it out, how would you figure that, Mr. Meredith?
Like whatever makes the percent 100, you take that number, like 50, what makes it 100% would be multiplied by 2 and then divide 50 by 2 to get 50%.
Right, that would work also. But here's what I'm talking about. I can't multiply 50 by 50%. I need to change this into a decimal. So what would that be? What do you think? What would it be? Yeah, 0.5. So I'm going to start, here's 50. The percent's right here. I'm going to move it over 2 places, so the decimal now is 0.5. Well, I know 0.5 is the same thing as 50%, okay? Because I just moved the decimal 2 places over. And then if I wanted to prove it, I would just do 0.5 times 50. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is what? 25. Okay, there's 1 decimal place. I'll start here and move 1 decimal place over, and so the answer is 25. Okay, now so some of that is what you're doing here. Example 1, it says find the percents of numbers, and of course they're not as easy as the one I just gave you. And so it says Diego started a 12-hour road trip with his phone battery charge at 75%. It wasn't fully charged. Given his normal usage, will his phone last the whole trip? Okay. So when the battery is at 100%, it lasts 15 hours. When it's at 75%, well, gosh, how long would it last? That's what he wanted to know. So they set up step 1 here. It says draw a bar diagram and write the equivalent ratios to represent the hours remaining. Okay, so 100% is 15 hours. Okay, they told us that. 75%, well, that's X. We don't know what that would be. And so they just set it up. 75% is X, and 100 is 15. And so you'll see lots of problems like that. It's 75 over 100 equals, and we're trying to figure out what X is, over 15. To figure out what X is, all you do is cross multiply. 100 times X is 100X. What's 75 times 15? Anybody know off the top of their head? Well, actually, think about it this way. What's 75 times 10? 750. Okay, then all you would have to do is multiply 75 by 5. You're going to end up with 1,125 equals 1,125. So you're going to have several problems like this, Miss Lamondola, where you just cross multiply and then solve for X. And I've shown you guys before, when you want to solve for a variable, X, Y, Z, whatever it is, you just got to get it by itself on one side of the equation. So I look at this and I say to myself, what's happening to the X right now? It's being multiplied by what? Hello?
X. 1 100.
Thank you so much. Put up 100 points because you actually answered my question. Okay, it's being multiplied by 100. What's the opposite of multiplication? Division. So I'm going to get rid of that 100 by dividing each side by 100. They cancel out. Now I have x all by itself. Because you know that any number divided by itself is just 1, so they would just cancel out. So I'm dividing 1,125 by 100. Well, hopefully you guys remember that all you need to do then, if you're dividing something by 10, by 100, by 1,000, 10,000, you just move the decimal that many places over. How many zeros are in 100? 2. I'm going to move the decimal over 2 places, so it's going to be 11.25. So in this case, the answer to this problem is 11.25, and if you walk through it, you'll see that that's exactly what they did here. I just set it up a little bit differently, okay? So in these problems here, it's always the part over the whole and the part over the whole. So copy this down here. It says Kita's phone had a fully charged battery with normal usage. Her phone will last 18 hours. How much time is left on Kita's phone battery with 12% remaining? So it's going to be 12 over 100, x over 18, and 12 over 100 times 18 equals x over 18 times 18. To me, the way they do it here is a little bit more confusing. You're going to end up with 2.16 equals x, and Kita's phone battery has 2.16 hours remaining. Scratch out the convince me. I'm not worried about that. Let's look at example 2 here. It says use percents greater than 100. Let me ask you guys a question. If I ask you what is, well, let me do this first. What's 100% of 7? Mr. Scott? What's 100% of 7?
700%?
You have the right idea, but not quite. Mr. Anderson?
7.
7. If I ask you what's 50% of 7, that's going to be half of 7. That's going to be 3.5, right? But what if I ask you what's 200% of 7 equal? Miss Daly? 14. I'm just going to double it. And if it was 300%, I would triple it. It's going to be 21. Okay, so you guys get that. So look at example 2 here. It says a full set of adult teeth includes 160% as many teeth as a full set of baby teeth. So when you're an adult, you actually gain some teeth. Your little ones drop out and you get more teeth. How many more teeth are there in a full set of adult teeth? Well, it says use a bar diagram to help write equivalent ratios and solve for t. T is just like solving for x. It's just another variable, all right? So it's 160, that's the percent, over 100 equals t, that's what we're trying to solve for here, over 20. And so it's going to be, you cross multiply here, 160 times 20 equals 100t, and then you'll figure that out, and you're going to move the decimal 2 places, and you're going to end up with 32 teeth. So it would be, let me write this down here so you guys understand, it's going to be 160, all right, times 20 equals 100t. Well, what's 160 times 20? What's 16 times 2? 32. Most of you know that in your head. Well, add a 0. What's 160 times 20? It's going to be 320 equals 100t. And again, we're just solving for t here. So what's happening to the t? It's being multiplied by 100. What's the opposite? It's division. We're left with t on this side. 320 divided by 100. Oh, I made a mistake there somewhere. What did I do wrong? Oh, it should be 3,000. Yeah, is that what you saw, Mr.? Yep, okay. So I forgot to add a 0. 320, it's 3,200. So divide that by 100, you'd move the decimal 2 over 2 places, and again, you get the 32 teeth. Okay. Using percents less than 1%. So I'll let you guys look at that example on your own. But just a reminder, when you're converting a percent, let's say 12%, into a decimal, you move it over 2 places. And so that would be 0.12. But what if it was 0.12%? What would you do? I saw your hand come up.
I would just do the same thing. It just was 0.0012.
Yeah, the decimal actually starts here. It wouldn't start where the percent is. So you're going to add 2 zeros. So it would be 0.0012. Okay? That's the same as 0.12%. And so in this one, it says, what's the approximate distance in miles from Earth to the Moon? Draw a bar diagram and write equivalent ratios. They've done that for you here. We've got x over 93 million miles equals 0.27 over 100. Solve for x. So you're going to multiply x and 100 and then 93 million miles times 0.27. And what do you end up with here? Looks like about 250,000 miles. Everybody, I want you guys to do these 3 right. Well, in just a moment, circle those. We're going to do those together. Turn to page 146. First question, do you understand how do percents show a relationship between quantities? And I wrote that down. A percent is part of a whole. A percent is part of a whole. Number 2, how does a value that is greater than 100% of the original value or less than 1% of the original value compare to the original value? Well, if it's 100% or greater, it's greater than the original value. Well, that kind of makes sense. If I multiply 7 by greater than 100%, it's going to be larger than 7. Just like when 7 was being multiplied by 200%, it's worth twice that. It's going to be 14. And then if it's 1% or less, it's 100 times smaller than the original. So you're going to be moving the decimal, at least a couple times. 1% or less is approximately 100 times smaller than the original. Scratch out number 3, not worried about that. Circle 4 and then 5A, B, C, and D. Circle 6. And then for 7 and 8, just those last 2 bottom boxes is all I'm concerned about. If you want to fill these out, if that helps you, you could do it that way. Let's look at 9 and 10. Well, 9 for a moment, actually. It says Meg is a veterinarian. In a given week, 50% of the 16 dogs that she saw were boxers. Steve is also a veterinarian. In the same week, 7 of the 35 dogs he saw this week were boxers. each wants to record the part, the whole, and the percent. So here's question A. It says, does Meg, this is the first one, need to find the part, the whole, or the percent? Because they already gave us some information about Meg. All right? In a week, she saw 50% of how many dogs? 16, and they were boxers. Not sure if the fact that they were boxers comes into play or not. So does Meg need to find the part, the whole, or the percent? Well, in that first sentence, part, whole, and percent, what information did they give us? They gave us the percent. It's right there. It's 50%. And then how many total dogs did she see? 16. 16 is the whole. So what does Meg need to find? The part. Okay? Does Meg need to find the part, the whole, or the percent? And it would be the part. And that would be easy to do. What's 50% of 16? You just do that in your head. What's half of 16? 8. Okay? So B, I'll let you guys do that one on your own. Does Steve need to find the part, the whole, or the percent? Well, read what information they gave us about Steve and then answer that question. All right, 10, A and B, 11, 12, right there, and 13, circle that, 14. Let's look at 14 here for a moment. It says, is 250% of 44 less than 100? That's one option. Greater than 100, but less than 150 is another option. Or greater than 150. So you have three choices in 14. Less than 100, greater than 100, but less than 150. That's the second option. Or greater than 150. Explain your reasoning. Well, as far as I'm concerned, as far as explaining it, maybe if I just see your work here. So first off, let's break this down. 250% of 44. Well, let me pull a stick here. What is, she's not here, Miss Brewer, what's 200% of 44? 88. So 200% equals 88. Okay? Put up 100 points. So, but it's not 200%, it's 250%. All right, Ms. Vasquez? So now we need to add 50%. We did the 200. Now we got to add the 50%. What's 50% of 44? 22. And what's 88 plus 22? 110. So the question remains, is 250% of 44 less than 100? Nope. Is it greater than 100 but less than 150? Yeah, and it's not greater than 150. Okay? Questions? Nope. Okay. Next page. Number 15. The seed and skin of a typical avocado is about 30 to 40% of the avocado's weight. Oh, okay. For an 8-ounce avocado, how many ounces of edible fruit does that have? Well, you need to figure out what's 30% of 8 and 40% of 8, and you'll get a range because it says 30 to 40%. How would I convert that 30% into a decimal, Mr. Karkeet?
Make it 0.3.
Yeah. Yep. 30%. 30% move the decimal over 2, it's going to be 0.3 times 8. And then 40% would be 0.4 times 8. They're both going to equal something. That'll give you the range. All right. 16, circle that. 17, 153 is 0.9% of what number? Scratch that out, the rest of that. 153%, oh, I'm sorry, 153 is 0.9% of what number? That what number, you could just call it X. See if you can figure that out. 18 looks like I answered that before. Brad says that a second number is 125% of the first number. Then the first number must be 75% of the second number. Is he correct? Justify your answer. But the answer is no. If the first number is 100, the second number is 125. And 100 divided by 125 equals 0.8, not 0.75. Number 19, it's worth a stick. Question is, who earns more? So that won't be graded, but it is worth a stick. And then I do want you to do 20 and 21. All right. I'm also going to assign a Math XL. So I think I'll set that up right now. And that's probably what you want to work on first is the Math XL, because that'll be due tonight by 11:59 p.m. before midnight. This will be tomorrow morning.